Hey everyone, Doug A798 here. This is my salute of the movie Dragon Ball Evolution. I was supposed to do a rant on Dragon Ball Evolution, but after watching this movie 3 times, I cannot hate this movie, and I just can't rant on it. Instead, I'm going to talk about what I didn't like about the movie and what I did like about the movie. First off, I'm going to start off with what I didn't like about it. Of course, what I don't like about it is, while I do like the plot of this movie, the story elements and plot elements of this movie, what I can't stand is, first off, I don't like how I hate how they don't explain plot elements. They don't explain how Ozaru is Piccolo's disciple, which I thought was really, really cool, but I hate how they don't explain how Piccolo can control in Ozaru something that is supposed to be uncontrollable. But the Ozaru being a separate being instead of a transformation like in the series, I thought that was really awesome. They also don't explain how Piccolo knows Goku's origin, knows Goku was sent to this planet, and how does he know that? They didn't explain that. I would be mad. I would be mad if this was a one-time film and wasn't meant to be a trilogy. Since this was meant to be a trilogy, I'm not that mad, but I still kind of hate the fact they chose to tell only a little bit of story and not explain anything, to leave it over so they could have more story to tell in sequels. That I didn't like. I wish they would have tried to make everything to explain everything in the first film. Going back to what I was saying, and then of course, then the second thing, how Piccolo got out the hole, how Piccolo escaped. Now in the film, I'm gonna go by what they said. Roshi says, I've tried to come up with explanations how Piccolo got out of the canister, but ultimately they just never explained that. And how Piccolo escaped the Mafuba, but ultimately, like I said, they never explained that. Roshi says he somehow escaped, so I'm gonna go with that. But I wish they would have explained how he would have escaped. Once again, since there was meant to be a trilogy, I'm more accepting of that. I'm more accepting of that. I'm not angry about it because it was meant to be a trilogy. If this was all just to be one big film and they left all these unexplained plot elements, then I'd be pissed. But there was supposed to be more after this, so I'm not pissed. I'm not that pissed off. The third thing I didn't like, even though it was way better in this film than it was in the series, I did not like this crappy, simplistic plot of looking for the Dragon Balls. Even though I loved it much better here. I love what they did here. I love how I wish they would have spent more time at Goku's high school to show us why the people say he's different. Because I love that. That was realistic. If you have the power in Dragon Ball Z, that is just a poorly written fantasy type show, man. If you had the powers that Master Roshi, Goku, Tien, and all those characters demonstrated, people would not everyone would awe and excitement. They would fear you. You have power. You have powers that are actually dangerous to the human race. Just like in the X-Men, they would hate you, and I think that's what they sorta hinted at in Dragon Ball Evolution when Goku said the people treat him bad because he's different. But I wish they would explain to him more why they treat him bad. He looks like the other guys, so they can't really say he looks like a geek, because other than having spiky hair, he looks like everyone else there. But so I wish they would have explained why the people at the school hate Goku so much, because that was really realistic. If you only fight and only have powers and have inhuman strength, people aren't gonna like you. They're not gonna be morons and tools and awe and excitement like they do in the series. Yeah. The next thing, going back to the simplistic plot. I didn't write this movie, but if I would have wrote this movie, I would have started at Dragon Ball Z. Why are you making a movie based on Dragon Ball, a show that failed in America 2 times and only succeeded the 3rd time because Dragon Ball Z, the second show, was hugely popular. Without Dragon Ball Z in America, without Dragon Ball Z, the original Dragon Ball is nothing because it was terrible. It was boring. It got good later, but it was boring. It was in the beginning. And the beginning is really important. But yeah, Dragon Ball. So yeah, why not Z? Why not start off with the Saiyans? Why would you make a film where Piccolo is the bad guy? I know he was a bad guy, but why would you make a film where he's the bad guy when most people who watch that damn cartoon knows he was a anti-hero and a heroic character in Z. But yeah, remember the next thing. Next thing I didn't like was missing characters. But then again, this is a problem in a lot of adaptations. Some adaptations have too many characters. Tien, Chaozu, and Krillin. Yeah, I hate how they really weren't in this adaptation. This is why I wish they would have started off. First off, I wish they would have started off with either the Piccolo Jr. sagas with King Piccolo and Piccolo Jr. with a tournament instead of a Dragon Ball hunt. Or just start off with the Saiyans with all those characters already established. See, that's another thing. They try to establish in this film why I like Goku's and Bulma's, Yamcha and Roshi's new origins. They try to introduce you to these characters when, to tell you the truth, with the exception of maybe Roshi and Yamcha didn't really have no origin. He was a guy in a desert. That's all. Bulma didn't have really a good origin either. So I wish they would have had them already established in a Dragon Ball film. Their origins were boring in the original series. The only one that was good was Roshi with that stuff with the Crane Hermit and Moody Idol, his master. He was the one who really had a good origin that was worth telling, maybe in a movie, was Roshi. Goku's origin was boring, and like I said, he doesn't really go through any development in the series. So yeah, the next thing I didn't like was but yeah, that's all the problems I pretty much have with it. Everything else was good. I love the effects. The effects are awesome. They're actually better. The effects here are actually better looking than the cartoon looked at several points in the series, man. Action sequences were good. I love how they don't drag out. While it's still that formula of fight scene after fight scene, they don't drag them out like they do in Z. That Frieza fight with Goku was 30-something pages long, and God knows how many episodes long. I remember it being a 20-tape saga back in the day. But yeah, I love how they fight quickly and Goku and Piccolo's fight, Goku and King Piccolo's fight. I love how their fight was in this. I love their fight in this movie. It was way better than it was in the cartoon. The fight between Goku and King Piccolo in the cartoon was absolutely terrible. It was Goku toying with Piccolo, then Piccolo attacked Tien to get the advantage, then beat the crap out of Goku to the point of near cripple. Then Goku still won by plowing right through Piccolo. I thought that was lame. I thought this fight was much better. And I'll talk more about that in another video. And the only reason I don't bitch about that is because in the King Piccolo saga was epic. And then even though when Piccolo got killed, he was reincarnated as Piccolo Jr., a much more powerful Piccolo, and him and Goku had a much better fight at the Tenchi Kai Budokai. But that's one of the things I love about Dragon Ball Evolution, I love the new characterizations. I love the realism. Normally, I mentioned in Batman movies, I hate the realism in that movie because, in my opinion, it just ruins the mythology of Batman and shit. And it's just not what I grew up with. But here, the realism actually improves the series. Toriyama likes to use realism. Likes to use fantasy as an scapegoat for not telling a good story. He likes to use the excuse, oh, it's a fantasy, not to tell a good story. He does that a lot in this series, and I'm glad to see some of that improved in this series, in this Dragon Ball adaptation. And this Dragon Ball Evolution was way better than that original Dragon Ball crap. As much as I love Z and GT, Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, didn't deserve to have a Dragon Ball Z and a GT. They should have been canceled after the Piccolo Jr. saga, because even though the Tien Shinhan and the Piccolo sagas were epic, that show was boring and crap. Crappy art, bland characters nobody cares about, and it was just boring and bland. This should have got this should have got the Dragon Ball Z and GT adaptations, because this was much better. There should have been a Reborn and whatever comes after Reborn, because Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, like I said, was terrible. Last 3 sagas was good, but you shouldn't have to sit through 4 sagas of boring, simplistic, bland crap. Oh, well, that was my salute. Dragon Ball Evolution. Love this movie. Alright, Doug8798 out. I'll do more videos like this later.